Alrighty, let's get the show on the road. It's 7 o'clock. I'd like to welcome everyone to the meeting. Let's start with the pledge. I'd like to keep you guessing.
No problem.
Please just note the fire escapes, the fire exits behind you or over here. Just make note of it in case there's an emergency. And I guess first on the, we'll do roll call. Sorry, dear.
Kevin Scully is out. Marcy Daniel is out. Chip Postiglione.
Here.
Stephen Thaw.
Here.
John Seeley.
Here.
Zach Murphy.
Here.
Thank you.
It would be pretty simple if I just followed the agenda.
I even printed you an extra copy.
Yeah, well. All righty, so first up is public hearing for Leibowitz. How you doing tonight?
So all closing to mailings, everything is in?
To make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All righty. How are you?
Grab your mic.
Answer your mic, please.
You have to bring it closer to you. Yeah, you have to watch and see if this turns red, then it's working. Try talking.
Oh, there. Okay. Do you want me to give a description to the public, or?
No, I don't think that's necessary.
All right.
There was just a few things, since there's no one here from the public for any comments, just to go over from the last time we met. There was a couple of corrections that
Yes,
needed to be made in the application, and
That's correct. We revised.
Let me just interrupt for a second, just because it is the opening of the public hearing. I know the board did hear about the application at the first meeting, but why don't you give a brief overview for the record, for the public hearing record?
Absolutely. So this is a existing legal lot in town of Monroe, 34 Irene Drive. It is, our client is proposing to remove the existing house and place a new house, remove a 4-bedroom house and place a 6-bedroom house on the same lot. It will meet all the setback and bulk requirements with the exception of lot area. It will be, the area of the lot is 41,161. The zone calls for 43,560. It's about a 6% change. But again, the proposed structure will meet all other setbacks and other requirements within the zone. It will have an individual well and septic, and that's the gist of the application. So we're really appealing for.
On the mic, it's not lighting up, so.
Asking for area variance on the lot.
And then getting back to the last meeting where we had discussed some of the wordage or some of the statements that were made in the application that just didn't make sense to me. I think you said you were going to make those changes.
Sure, I can go through those. On the addendum to the application, which is page 5 in the PDF in the packet, we removed the reference to being in the same footprint to read within the setbacks. And on page 19, we corrected that it is within 500 feet of Kirsch Joy and palm tree, it appears. And you also asked for the existing coverage, which is 11.6, and the proposed coverage is 13.4. Granted, the new coverage will be more building, less driveway. A lot of the existing coverage right now is driveway.
It's within the permitted max lot coverage.
15% is the,
I'm
all of them are, yes, both out, existing and proposed are within the coverage.
Forgive me, was the GML referral made? And
It was made, but it was made late, so I didn't get it back yet.
okay, so 30 days has not passed
No,
since the
it has
referral?
not.
Okay. So one way or the other, tonight, we have to leave this open
Open.
till next meeting because we have to leave at least 30 days for those comments to come back.
And there's, and there was another question, according to my notes, that, Steve, I thought you brought up about the distance to another town. Is that what
That
you're
would be the
referring to now?
500 feet, that's correct. It
And
is
and that
500
was
feet to
all
change up.
in the revision, yes?
Yes.
Okay. I had driven past this when it first came to us, and looked at the property, looked at the house, and then I went back again about a week ago just to make sure I had it right in my head, and it's, to me, it's going to be obviously a much bigger house. It's
The footprint's obviously bigger, but the frontage along the road, it's like 10, 15 feet wider than it does now. So as far as appearance from the road, you won't see it. On the back half, there will be more house. That's
Yeah.
correct. But again, it's within all the requirements of the zone.
Yeah, no, yeah. And I know, Zach, you had gone by it also, yes?
Yeah, I've driven past it.
Yeah, your comments or thoughts when you drove by it, and I actually think the first time I went by it, that was before we asked you for the plans of the building, so I didn't have the whole scope in my mind's eye, if you will. And then once I received that and then went over, then realized it wasn't going to be on the same footprint because I went out there with a whole different mindset. Okay, it's going to be on a footprint. Didn't really see it. Didn't think much of it. And now clarification and realizing there was some mistakes made. I just saw it with a different eye. And I don't know, Zach, if you had any thoughts along that or looked at it like that?
Well, when I drove past it, it is one of the bigger houses in the area, and now you're asking to make it bigger, which is kind
When
of...
you say bigger, it's
more
first of all, in
pronounced.
the area, as with the packet I gave you, it won't be the biggest house in the area. It won't be the smallest. It'll be among the bigger houses in the area. It happens to be surrounded by woods that are not going to be taken down. Part of it is in the town drainage easement. Part of it's on lot next door that's not really developable. So in that essence, and it also sits low on the property. It drops off the road very, very quickly.
Yeah, no, it's currently a very nice house. That's
Yeah.
why I'm kind of wondering why we're knocking it down to put a bigger house that's going to be out of code again. The current
Well, no,
house...
I mean, the house is not a code, not the existing
It's-
or the
it's-
proposed is out of code. All we're asking for is the 6% on the lot area.
The house
which-
is too big for the lot currently, and you're asking to take it down and
No,
build
I
it
don't
larger.
agree that it is.
Well, the code would state that the house itself is too big for the lot. Am I wrong on
No,
that?
that's not correct.
I thought
It
that
was
was the
illegally constructed and it's a legal lot.
It was legally constructed before the zoning law changed, and now the law is different, and we can't just knock the house down and build it up bigger without questioning the law that we have.
Otherwise you wouldn't be in front of us for a variance, right? So
we're here-
I understand what you're trying to say. It's still 43,560, right, versus your 41 and change, right? So you have to understand where we're coming from as a board, trying to do the right thing for everybody, and where we hear that, and again, it kind of was a curveball to me the last meeting where we realized that it's going to be a different foundation. It's not going to be the same footprint. It's just a fresher look at it. Yeah, you have to understand that.
I do, but I also, it's really not, it's not that great a variation. It is a long house now, and it will be only
No, but
10
it's just something else that we have to take into consideration.
Fair enough,
Right?
but I think,
It's a whole, it's a different mindset. It's, I was looking at it like this, and now I'm looking at it different. No more, no worse, no better. It's just a different set of eyes looking at it through, and the lucky thing is, I don't know if it's lucky or not, that it's going to have to remain open for another 30 days, I think you said, Council?
Yeah, at least till the next meeting.
Yeah, the next meeting. It just gives us more time to just fine tune what we're looking at. And the other question I had is, and maybe this isn't our place, is so the house is going to be different footprint. It's a septic and a well, yes?
correct.
So, and I'm sure, so in the home now, bathrooms are number,
I don't know.
so
New York State uses bedroom count for septic
Bed-
size.
yeah.
But those flows change over time. So, for example, this house built in '69, the flows would be, 150 gallons per bedroom.
Right.
Now it's 110 gallons
Yeah.
per bedroom. So it's really, even that, with
it
the
still
increased number
falls-
of bedrooms, it's still about the same.
Roger, gotcha.
All right. And at the time this was constructed, they had conventional trenches. They now have different systems that we can minimize the size of the field and increase the flows.
So is the septic, is that all being upgraded? Is that remaining the same?
The septic will be fully upgraded.
Yeah, upgraded.
With an enhanced treatment unit and the septic tank.
Right.
So that, environmentally, it is far better than what's there now.
Oh, sure. Anyone else have any comments or questions on? So then, if there's no other comments, then this will just remain open. The public hearing will remain open till next meeting. And when is that going to be, Noreen?
April 25th.
April 25th? All right, if there's no more questions, no motions have to be made because it's open. right?
No. And the only thing is, I know that there are people in the room. I think they're all applicants on other applications, but you should just open it up in case anybody wants to be heard on
Yeah.
this application.
Yeah, if there's anyone that has any comments or like to be heard on this, please come forward. And okay, thank you. I just think it's and I know we have to go over the 5 factors, and it's probably premature to do that right now. But I guess it's just something, and we all have a copy of those factors. Yeah, I think that'll wait. I think you understand our point. Again, it's not a negative. What I'm saying is not negative. It's just a different perspective. And the last meeting we had, I was going by the written application there and just
The addendum,
realizing
you mean.
halfway through the meeting that had changed.
The
So
addendum,
it gives
sure.
me a different perspective on it.
Right. I mean, I just want to stress that they've stayed within all the zoning bulk requirements, except for the one that they can't change, which is the lot area. And it's if they had 2,166 more square feet, they wouldn't be required to come here at all. And if you look in the packet of neighboring properties, there are houses larger than this on lots that are smaller than this, or under an acre at least. So in fairness,
No, I understand, but those lots and those are not in front of us right now. So I can only deal with what's in front of us right now. I don't know, but your point's taken. Thank you.
Time.
Thanks. Have a good night. All right, next returning project is Homeland Towers. How you doing, guys?
How you doing? Good evening. Again, for the record, my name is David Kenny. I'm an attorney with Snyder & Snyder. To my right is Vincent Xavier, Regional Manager of Homeland Towers. This, again, is the application for the wireless telecommunications facility at 2426 Strauss Lane. We're here tonight to provide an update from our previous meetings with the planning board. Since that time, we had a second balloon float on March 6th, and so we were able to get some leaf-off conditions photos. The second balloon float was also for the purpose of doing a visual analysis from a secondary location on the property. This is approximately 50 feet to the northwest. With this alternative location, we're able to actually save a lot of trees. So there was approximately 135 trees that were to be removed. This is going to reduce that by 52 trees, so we're going to save 52 trees in this new location, and therefore only 83 trees are to be removed. But Zach, if you could, we have the photo sims from these, from one location, which is the location at Round Lake, which seems to be the more important viewpoint from most of our conversations with the planning board. So if you can go to the next slide, this is again just Round Lake. You may have to zoom in to actually see this. Again, one of the benefits from this location is it's physically far from almost all of the vantage points. So if you zoom in, this is a viewpoint of the monopole, and then you're gonna have to zoom in actually a little bit more. Yeah. And then it's got an outline dot of where the original location was. So with the monopole, the one that's shown right there to the left, that's the revised location. And then kind of the dotted outline to the right is just an outline of where the original location is. And this is just for you to get a perspective of what this minor shift in location is, about how it will look different from where the original location was.
Are these photos that we're seeing here any different than the ones that were emailed to us? Because we had a few of them.
Did we get the email? Did I have an email on the balloon float?
I believe so. I remember going through, there was quite a few of them there.
Well, we had the original balloon float.
Yeah, the original one, and
But
then...
you didn't, do we have the information?
I don't think we've submitted the
No.
second
No,
one.
the
So the
second
ones,
float has
so
it.
those were the original ones then? Okay.
Yeah, so we did an original one during the leaf on season. So we just recently did one during March 6th
Yeah,
while there was leaves were off the trees. But it also was for this alternative location. So you saw the photo sims for the new location. We are going to have a submission. Hopefully, we're waiting on some finalized drawings so that you'll have a full paper copy of this full report. This is kind of a zoomed in version of just one photo from that report with this alternative kind of dotted line showing of the original location, just to make it easy to compare. Zach, if you go to the next slide.
I'm sorry, this is the monopole.
This is the monopole, correct. Okay. And the next slide will be the monopine.
So just to recap, the monopine will be the tree-like?
Exactly.
Right, okay.
So those are, again, another thing we would ask for this board tonight, and we'll get into that a little later, is the planning board is starting to get closer to choosing between a monopole and a monopine. So we would obviously like this board to weigh in. Doesn't actually have to be tonight. Our next meetings with them are at the workshop on April 13th and then the meeting on April 18th. But we would obviously like this board to weigh in on its preference, whether it be a monopole or monopine. And this is a monopine. Again, this is showing, I believe, full build out. So if you go to the next slide, there should be similar to what was previously done. Is the previous one, yeah, the next one.
What did you say, the revised was about 15 feet of what?
50 feet to the northwest.
50?
Yeah, 50. Okay. The goal again being that by locating it in this direction, we shortened the access drive, and that helped us with reducing the amount of tree removal. It's also located in an area that's closer to some pine trees where not visible from this view, may help with some screening from yeah, you're going to have to go down to the next sheets.
The secondary location from when we did the walk on that day, that's the one off to the side?
Correct.
Closer to the cliff?
Correct. The one that
Okay.
was closer to those 3 pine trees.
Right, right.
Yeah, that's exactly. We moved in that direction 50 feet.
Okay.
And with this location, one of the things we had to confirm was there wouldn't be any change in elevation that would require a change in height for the tower. So it's still 100-foot tower, same height, same design. And in this new location, we meet all of the setbacks. So there's no need for an additional area variance. It's just an alternative preferred location.
You said you're saving more trees this way.
Exactly, with the reduction. It doesn't seem like, but there should be another page. Yeah,
Want the monopole or you want the monopole?
yeah, it should be the last page in the,
There we go.
yeah, right there. So this is the monopine. And if you zoom in, this is again, same as the monopole. It shows the revised location and then like a dotted line for the original location. And as you notice with the original location, that dotted line just goes a little bit taller than the revised location. That's because in this, in the original location, it was a little bit closer to this vantage point, so it appears a little bit taller in the foreground. So one of the benefits, although it's a minor change, it'll appear a little bit smaller in this revised location. And then if you go to the very first slide, and sorry to make you go back and forth, Zach, we're gonna have to put you on the escrow. If you go to the very first slide, it should be at the very bottom. There should be a description that says that it's a monopole with full build out. So if you could go to the bottom, it should say that. At the very bottom, there's like a banner below the photo. Yeah, it should be the second slide then. So just the next. Yeah, there with 4 carriers. So if you zoom in, again, one of the things we're trying to show here is we've been proposing the monopole with just 1 carrier because that's all we're proposing to build today. But the planning board asked us what would a full build out be. Again, this is zoomed in from a very far distance, but this does show 4 carriers on the tower. There's the top carrier that's Verizon, there'll be a middle carrier, and then there would be a 3rd carrier. So this again would show if there was future co-locators at this tower, what would a monopole look like when you have these additional co-locators on the tower? And again, we're trying to show this because from our perspective, even though this is not a stealth design, because of the vantage distance, because of the viewpoint distance, it actually is, I think, less visible than if we made it look like a monopine. Although the monopine would completely conceal the antennas within that tree structure, the tree structure itself, because it's more mass in the sky and just because it's a different color, would likely be more visible. But this is purely for the town to determine as its preference. We're happy to build either design, but if there is a preference for this board, we would just ask that it be communicated to the planning board so that when they make their decision, they have the benefit of your opinion.
I'm sorry, I have one question. This photo depicts obviously other carriers jumping on that pole as well.
Exactly.
Correct me if I'm wrong, I think there was mention at some point in one of our earlier meetings that there's a possibility it could also go up another 20 feet if there are other carriers involved?
Sure. So yes, if another carrier comes, there's federal law that allows, and this is nothing we can do. It's the 2012 Act of Congress and the Middle Class Tax Relief Act that says if a carrier is co-locating in an existing structure, they can do a co-location, and it has to be approved as long as it doesn't create a substantial change. And they've said within that a 20-foot height increase would not be a substantial change. But that's the maximum height that they could increase. And that's one time, so it couldn't be like AT&T comes along and increases 20 feet, then T-Mobile goes another 20 feet. It's one time 20 feet.
Okay. And does this photo depict that increase? If you have the additional carriers on it, does it go up an additional 20 feet?
No, this is just full build out of a 100-foot tower.
Just what's proposed that we're looking at right now.
Exactly, and the idea is, again, what we're trying to show here is the 2nd carrier and even the 3rd carrier above that tree line. So we strongly feel that because of the cost that would be involved to extend this tower, more likely than not, and again, this is speculation because I don't have their information, more likely than not, they would probably save the money and co-locate below Verizon rather than spending that extra capital to go above if they're still going to be above the tree line.
Understood. Thank you.
And again, even though it's an application that the town may have to approve, it's still an application that would have to come to this town, and it'd have to be reviewed by some department to confirm whether or not it actually was an eligible facilities request.
Okay. I'm having a senior moment now that everybody can hear me say that. What is the status? Did we open a public hearing and we're continuing? We have not opened a public hearing yet.
Correct.
Is that right? And we're just waiting for you to continue and make some further progress before the planning board?
Correct. So our original application, we came here, we had Cityscape review the application. They confirmed that, there is a need for this site and that, this application does meet that need. And then because there's the planning board review involved in being in the Ridgeline Protection Overlay Zone, we were before the planning board making sure that they could act on SECRA. So in our discussions with the planning board, the hope is that, this is optimistic thinking, but they may be able to act on SECRA at their April 18th meeting. So one of our requests for this board is not only to provide that feedback on monopine or monopole to the planning board, but if it's appetizing to this board, we would like to request a public hearing for their meeting in April so that if we've already done with the SECRA at the April 18th meeting, we can come open the public hearing here and present to the zoning board and the public. As just some feedback, we already opened a public hearing before the planning board. We've met with the public commenters at the last couple of meetings. The one public commenter that seemed to be objectionable to the project admitted that we met with them during the second balloon float. They're not going to be able to see the tower from their property, so they did admit that. And then we've also shown for the other public commenter through line of sight photos that they wouldn't be able to see the tower from their house either. They've stopped showing up to meetings. And then the only other person that's shown up has been someone that was upset at the town of Chester for how they approved their tower, but has admitted they don't live in the area and has complimented the planning board for how they're taking this review. So even if you open a public hearing, the public has already been involved in the conversation, and we've been mostly responding to all of their comments already.
Can we open a public hearing here at the zoning board while their public hearing with the other board is open? That's fine to do that?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. The only prohibition is that you can open the public hearing, but you can't act on the application until SECRA is complete.
Okay.
So I think it would be a good idea to, unless there's some glaring deficiency and you're not ready to open the public hearing, I don't see anything. I think the applicant has been here. I think the issues are really ready. I would recommend that you go ahead and schedule it for a public hearing at the next meeting. And then, if the planning board does not complete SECRA, you can always open the hearing and just keep it open until they do. And you can start looking at it concurrently, and that'll keep both boards moving expeditiously.
So we're looking at the monopole leaf off in the newest location, the
Correct.
revised, correct?
With full build out, that shows if there
There's
was other.
four,
Exactly.
Right?
I believe 2 are shown above the tree line and the 4th one's right at the tree line. But,
So do you have a photo? Because obviously, I think right now we're also trying to see what this board likes as the monopole versus the monopine. And I know we saw the monopine. We're looking at the monopole with leaf off. Do you have a monopole with leaf on, fully built out, that you could show us, just as a contrast, or no?
we don't have that today, but we can absolutely get that
Okay.
to you. That'd be easy enough to do. And then what we do have with you, Zach, there's another document in the flash drive.
And Zach, hang on one second.
Sorry.
Right, we're looking at that. Now, that's not blown in. That's right from Lakes Road, and that's the monopole.
Correct.
Sitting right up there now.
Correct. Because of this distance, if you go to the bottom of the photo, it should say the distance to the monopole. Because of this distance, it's at this point, these are galvanized steel structures. They start to patina into the sky. So we've noticed, with these types of structures, Yeah, if you're within
4,800 feet.
exactly, if you're within a mile or if you're within 1,000 feet, a stealth design's probably appropriate. But once you go beyond 2 miles or 4,000 feet, it's almost you got to do a push and pull of whether or not you want to hide the antennas by putting more stuff in the sky and then that whole structure may be more visible, or from these distances leave it alone and then it'll be less visible just by the fact that galvanized steel kind of blends in with the sky.
Hey, Zach, could you go to the monopine now, kind of same view, please?
This is new location as well.
Well, I'm as fickle as they come because when I see that one, I'm like, that's not so bad. And then when I see this one, I'm like, that's not so bad.
That's honestly a good problem. We would rather have it be two, prefer two acceptable options than two options you wouldn't live with. But again, we do have with us the other photo simulations packet, which basically shows from other viewpoints what the new location and also in monopine sims as well as monopole sims. But like I said, we're going to get a full submission to this board probably in the next week or so with a full report that shows exactly that. And we can add into that a full build out of a monopole with the leaf on conditions.
So then right now, what we've seen so far is the pictures you have for us tonight then?
No, we do have more. So if
From
you go
different locations?
Yep,
Yeah.
we have different locations.
You guys interested in seeing that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you go to, it should be the letter to the planning board. Yep. Zoom in or open it all the way up. If you go to the bottom, this is again similar to the VRA that we submitted. It's got a letter from the expert who did it, just explaining, they went out on March 6th and took the photos, and it's to supplement the October 15th report. But if you go down, so here's the view shed maps again. If you keep going, there'll be then just the photos of the balloon, and then if you get all the way down, keep going further, there should be the photo simulations. These are just the photos of the balloon. So we didn't do photo simulations of all the areas, but we documented if the balloon was visible from all of these areas, and also like where the approximate location of the balloon was, if there's behind trees.
Pretty sure we saw it.
Yeah, if you go down all the way.
The day you did the second balloon test, it was quite windy at first,
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
And you were able to achieve the right height and after time?
After time, yep, we were able to untangle the lines, so to speak. And then also, the balloon is really for our experts, making sure they can see, from certain vantage points, whether it's visible or not visible. But they also use LiDAR technology to know exactly when they do the photo simulation, where the exact top height of that tower is going to be. So again, these are still the photos. If you keep, now we're into the photo simulations.
So the LiDAR technology that they're using, that's ground-based, is it aerial LiDAR or it's ground-based LiDAR that they have set up to locate it?
I'd have to ask and confirm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They use, when they're out in the field, they just use a handheld GPS unit to direct them where it is. And I think as far as the LiDAR, we'll get more information. It's just when they're creating the simulation, they don't need to actually have a balloon there to create accurate simulations. They'll be able to show based on their distance to it, its location, and its initial ground elevation, how to create the simulation. So what he was trying to say is basically they don't need the balloon to be perfectly straight up in order to create accurate photo simulations. But yeah, the wind was not cooperating that day. The weatherman didn't say it was going to be that bad.
And this is important for this view right here. This is the Colony condominiums, I believe. I just wanted to point out that
I believe this is Cromwell Hill. Is that right?
Cromwell Hill Commons.
Cromwell Hill. Yeah.
We did have an elderly woman who came to the first public hearing, and she did complain about having a lack of cell service in this area and in her condominiums. And she felt that it was a life safety issue, and she was in full support of the project because she did feel that having these services was something that, it was very important and something that she did not currently have. And with these, just for explanation, the ones with the leaf off, those are the revised location or the new location. The ones with the leaf on were the prior location.
Now, do you have that same photo with the monopole?
Yeah, that should have been, there should be 4 for each. There should be one with leaf on monopole, one with leaf off monopine, and you're going to have to zoom in for that one, but that does have the monopole in there.
That's the same shot monopole. That it right there?
I think so. This one is right by the tree line. It was very hard to see.
One's right in.
Yeah, again, this one, if you look for the monopine one where it's more visible, you can see the top of the monopine is really just in line with the top of these trees right here.
And it's hard whenever you zoom in. These, I don't know if we've said this before, with the visual 17, meant to be printed on 11 by 17 paper and then held arm's width away to give you an accurate representation of what it would look like. So as we zoom in and we try to find it, it's difficult and it's a little misleading, but the way they're intended to be viewed to show what it would actually look like is that 11 by 17 and about arm's width away, arm's length away.
If you go to some of the other, like the monopine for this one, you can kind of see, yeah, if you zoom in on that, the monopine is right there, in between those two, yeah, right there, right where you have your cursor. So again, your view is affected by the elevation, the distance, the topography in the area, and the vegetation that's between you and the site. Again, for the leaf off sims, the report that we'll be providing you, it's basically this report. It's the same simulations we previously did in the leaf on conditions. We just did the same simulations from the same locations with the leaf off, so you can have an apples to apples comparison.
And I think the other shot was it from Smith Clove? Was there one I saw? It was from like a park there, was it? It
Yes.
looked like Smith Clove Park or?
We passed it.
We did have Smith Clove Park. That's photo 2. So that would have been in the beginning, yeah.
And also, just to be clear, I don't think the applicant is asking you, and I don't think it would be appropriate for you to decide by a motion, do you like this one or you like that one better?
Right.
You know, because you haven't even had a hearing yet. So I would not do that, but I think what he's just looking for, and you might not even be in a position tonight to give that, some informal feedback. Is that basically what you're looking at?
So my understanding is, and they may not make the decision on April 18th, but they're getting ready to make the decision between monopole and monopine. So if there's any way, whether it's through, I guess through some sort of letter to them, or if you want us just to relay, informal feedback from the board, if you prefer that they not make a decision on the 18th, so you have your opportunity to have your hearing and weigh in, we can also do that as well. But ultimately, all we're looking for is that so that when the planning board makes this decision, that you felt that you had the opportunity to weigh in and speak to which design you felt was better.
And just to let the board know that, like, the legal issue, there's somewhat overlapping jurisdiction on this particular point, right? This board, because this is a use variance, it's looking to, the standard that's going to be applicable is going to be, number one, is there a need? Has the applicant established that? Number two, is this design in this location satisfying that need? And then the third one is the one where there's some overlap here, which is this the least intrusive means of solving the need that's been identified? And that could be, least intrusive means typically means in regard to location, is there another location? But it can also mean in terms of the design. But the planning board also has jurisdiction, and it's exercising that jurisdiction as well. So that's why I think the applicant's looking for, some feedback from this board so it doesn't get whipsawed between two different boards thinking two, precisely opposite things here.
More intricate than what I thought. I was just trying to be courteous.
Well, I think obviously the new 50-foot location has a benefit of you're saving trees, or how can you argue with that? It's, as far as looking at these locations, and Noreen, these are what was in the emails. I remember looking at them. So it's 6 one, half dozen the other in every, leaf on, leaf off. But full disclosure, I'm colorblind. So just shooting from the hip here, guys. So
Paint the tower whatever color works best.
yeah. So do you guys see it? Obviously, you see it more different when we're looking at these contrasts: leaf on, leaf off, monopole, monopine. Council, unless you think differently, we're kind of just looking at this as an educational type of thing, just spitballing, if you will, on.
I think that's it. Yeah, you don't want to,
Yeah.
prejudge it for your hearing since
Yeah.
your hearing isn't open. On the other hand, if you want to just give informal feedback
Yeah.
as to what your thoughts are verbally, I think that's appropriate.
Yeah. So, relying on you guys that can see colors, looking for a little help.
That explains why you loved the candy apple red one.
Who doesn't? Don't judge.
How much bigger would the monopine be?
So it depends, because it's a tapered design. So the branches obviously get a little bit larger as you go further down. But if I take a guess,
Actually, a good question. Fully loaded with the pine. Yeah.
I could probably answer that one best. So there's 3 sectors on the top of this with sets of antennas in each sector. Generally, they're attached via some kind of T-arm mount. So you got the standoff plus the length of the arm. Generally, the standoff's going to be 18 to 24 to 36 inches, and then the arm's going to be 10 to 12 feet. Which would mean if you're looking at one sector perfectly straight on is the width of the mount, so you're talking 12 feet. In a monopole, or monopine rather, the faux tree, at the top the branches are probably going to be started at 8 feet. So you're looking at 16 feet versus, let's say, 12 feet.
So the monopine that we were looking at, was that 2? That wasn't fully loaded with 4?
we actually had photos of both. So that we had photos of a monopine with just one carrier on it, and then photos of monopine full build out.
But that doesn't change the width that you would see.
33% wider.
Essentially, again, we can get additional
get a
information. So if the monopine is pursued as a further design, we'll absolutely have full detailed drawings that show exactly. But we can get more information about what the approximate distances are. But essentially, it's got to be a little bit larger what the mounts are, so that we're covering it. And then as you're going down, a little bit larger, so you can kind of have a sort of a tapered design, make it look like a natural tree. The extra 20 feet, we don't have SIMs of that, again, because we're not providing any kind of application that does that. That would be the responsibility of the next applicant. When they come in, they'd have to show, hey, if we're going to increase this by 20 feet, and if it's a monopine design, they'd have to prove to whatever jurisdiction within the town is.
Big design, ready?
They over-engineer it purposely for that. But yeah, the over-engineering is more essentially for the additional loading for the additional carriers that we're hoped to go below Verizon. Again, we want to build this tower so that it doesn't just fill Verizon's needs, but it has the capacity to support up to 4 carriers, so that, if there's another need for another tower in this area, the town can say, don't build a new tower or co-locate on this existing one.
Thoughts?
I agree with John. I'd like to see the full build-out first before we can.
Zach?
I don't know, I like the full tree in the summertime and then the pole in the winter, so it's tough. No, I know, that's what I'm worried about.
Well, come back when you can.
Yeah, right. And again, we did have, not in these sims, but in the ones that we're showing, the comparison ones, they did include some sims of the full build-out monopine. Essentially, it looks like a more full tree. It's just, you're going to see, kind of thicker, darker green as you go down the tree rather than spaces in between the branches.
All right, I think if there's no more comments or questions from
I'm
us.
sorry, just one more. You said that as far as the coloring of the pole, that could change. It could be brown, could be gray, could be whatever, as far as blending in more, if it was a monopole.
Absolutely.
To blend in with the sky or the reflections
We can
of
paint the color whatever, with the tower, whatever color you would like. We could also paint it two different colors, like brown below the tree line, a light gray color or sky color above the tree line, paint it the high school football colors, whatever you guys prefer.
Have the chairman inspect the
There you
color.
go. Yeah, exactly.
It's all wrong. It's all
Bring the
wrong.
bear color swatches.
Yeah. You good, Steve?
I'm good, thank you.
All right, so anything more for us?
Just like to see if you'd be willing to schedule the public hearing.
Yeah, at this point, I think we can go ahead, schedule a public hearing for next month. If that's okay with you, Noreen?
So,
Depending on what happens the 18th.
I think we'll probably have to have the notices out before the 18th because of your 10-day rule, but if we're at the 27th and the planning board hasn't taken action on seeker, we have no problem opening and adjourning the public hearing immediately.
yeah, so I think that's the procedure. I think you should definitely make a motion to set the public hearing for that date, and then one way or the other, open it on the date that it's noticed.
Right.
What goes on, what substantively can occur during that first day of hearings is to be determined.
Yeah, the meeting is the 25th next month. You have to do all of your mailings by the Friday, the 14th.
All right,
Dave and I will write that letter for you and get it out.
I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to set the public hearing for April 25th. All those in favor?
Second,
John?
put on your mic.
I did.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very much for your time.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Mission for planning board is Thursday. All right, and ZBA is next Tuesday. Yep. Thank you.
Next up, returning project is Reynoso. I say that right? How you doing, Dave?
Been a while,
Yeah, it's been a while. Good to see you.
everybody.
I'm going to say you forgot about your thing again.
It has been a while. How about starting us off with a happy recap?
We're before you. One is a non-conforming front, length of the front yard. What? Again. So we're glad to be before you. This project involves two variance requests. One is associated with the lot width along Lakes Road. It's about 5%, 7% less than what is asked for in the code. The second variance is interesting because it's a lot area variance, a lot coverage variance, and yet when we do the addition and subtraction, we ended up at the same percentage. So that was kind of an interesting scenario. I think in our last meeting, the board had asked us to prove the lot coverage calculations,
Yes.
or impervious area calculations.
Right.
So we did so, and you see that on page C2 of our submission. And
Of the new submission?
of the new,
Of the new stuff that came in?
yes, dated, I can't read it,
January 7th, I believe.
yeah, 17th. So, in the impervious area coverage, or lot coverage, we broke it, should I continue, or?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
go ahead.
Okay. We broke it down by driveway, by the dwelling, the garage, the pool patio, the concrete sports court, and a detached wood deck. And as you can see, we brought the totals down, and it actually netted less to 10 square feet. And the whole difference with that is because the addition is, we're removing a larger portion of a driveway, which is halfway being replaced by the addition. So when you net the two, you come out to a lot coverage that's about minus 10 square feet. That's a first for me, I have to say, so I appreciate you asking for that. The second request by the zoning board was for us to provide the architectural floor plans that were submitted to the building department, which resulted in the referral to the ZBA. So we did that on page, it's A1 and A2 of our submission. And there, we clearly delineated the additions that would be added to the existing house on both the first and second floor. As you can see, if you're looking at the plan, one is being added to the left, one is being added to the right, and the kitchen in the upper right corner is being extended, I think 6 or 7 feet. And these additions apply not only to the first floor, but they extend to the second floor. The living room would be a clear story, but also on the second floor, we're adding an additional master bedroom and bathroom that it opens up to an outdoor deck. On the first floor, it's also another bedroom and a den and an extended kitchen.
What are the odds of that calcing out the same?
Listen, we triple-checked it, office. So, and to put the board's mind at ease, I had nothing to do with it. I had experts look it over in the office, so.
I can
So
sleep tonight knowing
that's
that.
right.
Thank you.
You can be rest assured it's
Yes.
accurate. See, if it was me doing the calcs, it'd be a little bit here, a
Yeah.
little bit there, you know. But we're in good shape. It's pretty, well, it's confirmed without question. And the front lot line, I mean, I think the code requires 150 feet.
And you
The
got
existing-
138.8?
Yeah,
right?
and that's existing, you know, so it's a pre-existing non-conforming
Right.
condition.
So really, what's in front of us is the lot area coverage. I appreciate you getting us those, everything that we asked for.
Without question, we responded quickly, you know, was hoping to be here a little while ago, but there were some logistic things that had to be taken care of, and so here we are. And I'm hoping the board would consider entertaining a public hearing notice for the next meeting so that we would be able to proceed with the application.
There's always hope, Dave. There's always hope.
Good banter going on.
Yeah.
Right? There you go.
And this is, when was it, November? November when we first
Yes.
saw this? So that's when I drove by it. Zach, have you gone by this one at all?
I have not gone by this
Yeah.
one.
Well, Dave, any comments from what you're looking at here, the rest of the board? So really what we're looking at is, it is existing 150, you should have 150, you got 138.8, but that's not on a board, that's existing. So really what's in front of us is the lot area coverage. And we asked Dave to come make sure that that was calc'd correctly. We wanted to see the math, and we wanted to see the, the plans of what we're going to look at. And we're pretty consistent with that, what we ask for, with everyone that comes here, just to paint the full picture.
Absolutely.
So if there's no other questions from anyone here on the board, I don't have any questions, and I'm inclined to move to make a motion to schedule a public hearing for April 25th.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thanks, Dave.
Very much, board members. I appreciate it. And we look forward to getting notices.
Let's not make it so long since we see each other again, all right?
I'll tell you, it's been quite a while. I think I have a couple of more projects coming before you, so,
Look forward to it.
oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Good to see everyone. Have
Have
a
a good
great
night.
evening, everyone.
Bye, Dave.
You too.
All right, moving on, we have minutes. I think, what do we have, two sets to January and February minutes?
Correct?
And those were, I looked over those this morning, actually, as I was talking to you. Yeah, and, no, this is just,
There was just one I saw, and I don't think it
I
matters.
cannot hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Now I can.
There's one I saw, I'm not sure which month it was, but you had, Sealy said FFA, it's FAA, I don't know if that matters.
that would probably have to be the last, I'm thinking that would be the January.
Last time Homeland was in front of us.
That's when Homeland was here. And, right, and
Homeland was here both months.
they were here,
They weren't here last month.
no, I don't think they were here
Oh,
last.
that's right, they didn't show
Yeah,
up.
Right,
because I think January is, they were the only ones here.
right.
So I'm sure it was that.
It's a minor error, I just,
Well, John,
I was reading 'em.
no error is minor.
So FFA should be FAA. Got it.
I did not see
Future Farmers of America?
anything, when I went over it, that it looked good to me. Russ,
Same here, yeah.
Zach? So, little help, what now?
You make a motion to approve, subject to correction, of the FFA to FAA.
I'd like to make a motion to approve, subject to correction.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And just to clarify, though, that would be for the January minutes. I think that's it, and make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I want to do February?
Oh, I thought we did, though we just,
Got to do them individually.
okay, all right. The rest of the board, February, I saw nothing wrong.
Shortest meeting in history.
You good? All right, I'd like to make a motion to accept the February meeting, minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You good? All right, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor?
The mic.
Aye.
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 Aye.